Today we've got a preview of the upcoming primary in Pennsylvania. That's going to be Tuesday, April 23rd. And there's not exactly a lot of suspense, but let's dive into it anyway. For President, Biden and Trump already have it wrapped up. So aside from that, the big race to take a look at is going to be for U.S. Senate. And as far as the primary goes, there's actually not really anything to take a look at here. For the Democrats, we've got incumbent Bob Casey. So he's going to be the nominee, and the Republicans already have their presumptive nominee in David McCormick. He was the runner-up to Dr. Oz just 2 years ago in that U.S. Senate primary. So this video is not necessarily about the general election, but if we scroll down past Bob Casey, he's got his endorsements and he's got over $23 million already raised. Down to David McCormick, under his endorsements, you can see he's raised a significant amount himself. It's $11 million, but that's less than half of what Casey's raised. Now above that, we've got the endorsements for McCormick, and this guy already served in the George W. Bush administration. So last time when he ran, he seemed to be more of an establishment guy, but he barely lost to Dr. Oz, who himself I think was a weak candidate. But if you look at these endorsements, you could see some unlikely company. He's got the George W. Bush endorsement, which makes sense because he did serve under Bush. He's also got Karl Rove, but he also has Donald Trump. So maybe McCormick is the guy to bridge the gap between the establishment and the Trump base. I don't expect it to pay off, but if you need further evidence of somebody that can bridge the divide in the GOP, McCormick also has the John Bolton endorsement as well as the Doug Mastriano endorsement. I don't think you're going to get much farther apart than those two, so that's probably why he's the presumptive nominee. Looks like we surprisingly have a little bit of unity this time on the side of the GOP. In the general election, though, I do expect Bob Casey to hold on under most reasonable circumstances. Again, we'll come back to this in the future, but on a glance, the general election polling all has Casey in the lead. Somehow in the most recent poll, that has the most amount of undecideds with 40%. Now, aside from the Senate, we've also got to take a look at the U.S. House. Now, there's several races here. I'm going to try to go quickly. The only ones that have even a slight chance of being competitive in the general election include the 1st District with Brian Fitzpatrick. He's the incumbent Republican. This does have the northern suburbs of Philadelphia. The Democrats already have their presumptive nominee in Ashley Ehasz. She ran in 2022, and she lost to Fitzpatrick by about 10 points. She's got military experience. She doesn't seem like a terrible pick, and it is the suburbs. There's an outside chance that Fitzpatrick could be in danger. Next, in the 7th District, this has incumbent Democrat Susan Wild. She's the presumptive nominee. She won last time by just 2 points. So the Republicans are lining up to challenge Wild. There's 3 of them in this race. Nobody really seems to have a massive fundraising advantage. Brian McKenzie is currently in the state house. I think he'd have higher name ID, but also Kevin Deliker, he ran for this district last time. He just came up short in the GOP primary. So there's a chance this district could flip if the Republicans run a solid campaign with a solid nominee. Next, in the 8th District, this is the Matt Cartwright district in northeast Pennsylvania. And this has Scranton, the birthplace of Joe Biden. So the working class vote here has shifted away from the Democrats over the past decade. Trump won this district last time, so Cartwright is definitely vulnerable in the general election, but every couple of years he seems to hang on. This time the presumptive nominee for the Republicans is Rob Bresnahan. He's young, he's involved in local construction. Maybe he's the guy to finally take down Cartwright, or maybe Cartwright ends up hanging on yet again. In the 10th District, this has incumbent Republican Scott Perry. It covers Harrisburg, and this one has a lot of Democrats lining up to take on Perry. I think the 2 most notable candidates are Shemaine Daniels. She ran last time, so she's going to have high name ID. But also Janelle Stelson. She's a former local news anchor, so she might even have higher name ID than Daniels. If you go down here, they have had some debates. They've got fundraising where it actually looks like Mike O'Brien is the leader there. But does that translate into the polls? Down below, there's 2 of them. O'Brien is in single digits, while Janelle Stelson leads both. But her campaign did sponsor both of these polls. Shemaine Daniels is in 2nd place with close to 20%. Still got about a third that are undecided. Now, Perry should be able to hold on unless there's some kind of a massive blue wave, but the primary with the Democrats is going to be something to take a look at. In the 12th District, this is in the Pittsburgh area in Allegheny County. It has incumbent Democrat Summer Lee. She's a progressive, and it looks like she's got a primary challenge in Bhavani Patel. Hopefully I got her name right. And I think it's an uphill climb for Patel given that Lee is the incumbent, but if there's anything to take a look at here in the 12th District, it's going to be with this Democratic primary. And the last House district is the 17th. This one I don't really think should be that competitive in the general. It's got incumbent Democrat Chris Deluzio. Republicans are going to avoid a primary battle here. They've got Rob Mercuri as their presumptive nominee. Now, outside of Congress, there are 3 elections taking place for statewide offices. First, we've got Attorney General. That was the office that current Governor Josh Shapiro held before winning his election. So there was an interim appointment. Michelle Henry is that person, and she is not going to run for a full term. So there's going to be a big battle here for AG, and it does not look like a consensus candidate has emerged. But for the Dems, there's several big names on here and they have a lot of endorsements. And given the fact that there's no polling here as of yet, I haven't closely followed this race, so it seems like it's wide open. So maybe you're following this closer. If so, let me know down in the comments. Now on the Republican side, it's a little bit less crowded. We've got a two-way race between David Sunday and Craig Williams. They both have endorsements. There's been some debates, but there's also no polling. So this is going to be a wait-and-see kind of situation here for Attorney General. Even though Republicans have had a lack of success here winning statewide in recent elections, they do actually control two of the offices. One of them is state treasurer. So Stacey Garrity is the incumbent Republican. She's running for re-election. So it looks like smooth sailing for Garrity. There's two Democrats lining up to take on Garrity. Ryan Bizzarro looks like he's got all the endorsements, and I would guess he's going to be the nominee to go up against Garrity. She's going to have the incumbency advantage in the general election. That might be enough for the GOP to continue to hold this seat in Pennsylvania. The last race is going to be for Auditor General. Now that has another incumbent Republican, Tim DeFore, so he's not going to face a primary challenger. On the Democratic side, Malcolm Kenyatta looks like he's the likely nominee. He ran for the U.S. Senate a couple of years ago. He got in third place. So Kenyatta's got the endorsements. If he wins the nomination, he's going to go up against DeFore. And I know state treasurer and auditor are not the two most high-profile offices you can hold. But if you're the Republicans looking for a bright spot in PA, they do hold these two offices. They're going in with an incumbency advantage. Maybe they could use that to springboard into a more consequential office. Or maybe the Democrats take out two incumbents and embarrass the GOP yet again in PA. We'll see what happens, but that's a quick overview of the primary in Pennsylvania, April 23rd. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about any of these races? There's not a lot of suspense, but maybe there's something under the radar you're taking a look at. And there's a couple of races that have a crowded primary field. What do you think's going to happen? And then how might that affect the general election? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Join if you'd like to help support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.